Anyway, okay. I think we should start and they'll come and join us soon. Okay. Kum len lablat gemara. Today's daf is Daf Samach Amid Aleph. So just to recap the Mishnah, this is the Mishnah we already had twice before. And that is we know that if somebody is a Nazir and during the Nazirah state suddenly became a Mitzvah, and the laws of Mitzvah are that if you turn out to be a Mitzvah and then when you get cured, you need to have two different shavings from head to toe. So even though you're a Nazir, and a Nazir is forbidden to shave the hair, when it comes to a Mitzvah, they have the mitzvah to shave the hair and overrides Naziris, as we learned before. And then we discussed the case where somebody was a Nazir and questionable whether he's also Mitzvah, questionable whether he also became Kameh. As a result of that, you need to go through 4 different periods of Naziris, because if you became a Mitzvah, it's actually 2 periods of Mitzvah. And as a Mitzvah, you shave your head, and 7 days later, you shave your head again. The first day you come, you bring certain kabbanas. The second day, you bring other kabbanas. But you can't just do it normally straight away and then 7 days later, because maybe you're a Nazir, you're not a Mitzvah at all. So you got to wait 30 days. And then at the end of 3 days, you take a haircut, you say, maybe because you're a Mitzvah. So let's do now the second shaving, which is 7 days later. But maybe you weren't a Mitzvah. And maybe you were just Nazir Tameh. So, and now you have to behave like a Nazir Torah. That's another 30 days. So then you have 2 periods of 30 days. And when you finish your ras, now you can start eating from normal kabbanas. Then we say, but maybe you're Nazir Tameh, right? So you got to start another Nazir, but maybe you're Nazir Torah, not Tameh. So you got to do another 30 days. And at the end of 30 days, we say, maybe you're a Nazir Torah. So, Shalom Aleichem. Okay, everybody's back. And we just reviewed the Mishnah that we read twice before about a Nazir who's a Safek Mitzvah and a Safek Tameh. Okay, so we're up to the Gemara. We'll just pause for 1 minute. Everybody's settling themselves in. And we are up to the Samach Omer Aleph. Hopefully we can finish the parak today. Okay. In fact, the very beginning of Samach Omer Aleph we also already had before, and that's less than a week ago. So I'm sure we all remember. And we'll just wait 1 more minute. Sorry. I think next week we'll have to start 7:15. Monday, I was just saying, Monday there's no share, but Sunday we'll do 2 blocks. I'm not here Monday. I'm away. But Tuesday and Wednesday we'll do 2 blocks. If you can't stay, you can't stay. But we'll do 2 blocks because Thursday I'm traveling overseas in Mitzvah. That's the plan. Okay. Okay, we have to begin. Okay. Tana, we learned the top of the page. So we said that you have to have 4 periods of 30 days, 4 blocks of 30 days, because each time perhaps you're Nazir. So the top of the page, Tana, we learned. When do we say you have 4 blocks of Naziris? You're something, maybe you're a Mitzvah, and as a Mitzvah, you have to have 2 separate shavings. But maybe you're Nazir, maybe you're Nazir. Sorry, you're definitely Nazir, but maybe you're Nazir Tameh. So there's 3 different blocks of Suffolk and 1 block of Avadai. So therefore, we said you have to go through 4 months. In order to be able to eat for kabbanas, you have to make sure that you remove the suspicion or the Suffolk of the chash of Mitzvah. So you have to have 2 shavings and bring the kabbanas, and we'll discuss the kabbanas today. So therefore, you have to have 2 blocks of 30 days. Why do you have to have 30 days each time? Because maybe you're not a Mitzvah, and maybe you're a Nazir. And a Nazir cannot shave less than 30 days. And then after you shave the first time, maybe you're Nazir Tummy the last time, now Nazir Torah. So you have to go 4 blocks. So we learn it's a short Nazir, which is 30 days. Let's say it took a year. Then each block becomes a year long. Because you cannot take a haircut by a suffering Mitzvah straight away, because perhaps you're not a Mitzvah at all. Maybe you're a Nazir, you got to wait a year. And so you have to then take another haircut 7 days later, but maybe you were not a Mitzvah, maybe you're Nazir Tameh, now you do Nazir Torah. So 2 years, only then can you bring the kabbanas of Mitzvah and go ahead and participate in Kachim. And then you need 2 more blocks of a year, 1 for Nazir Tameh, 1 for Nazir of the whole thing. And we had the whole discussion before. Maybe you should only have 3 years and a month, and that's why we talk about it 4 years. Think about it weiter. The year of you can only participate in kachim after 2 years. Finish your mitzaras, and you can only drink wine after 4 years. Now, we discussed over here there's 4 blocks, but we haven't discussed this. So, what kabbalah do you bring at the end of every block? There's a suffix mitzvah. Suffix tumah that you became Talmid doing Naziris, and there's a vada and Nazir Torah. So we want to cover all our bases. So what can you bring? You cannot bring. Now remember, a Nazir, a full-fledged Nazir brings a chatas, an oila, and a shlami. But you cannot, and a behemoth. By a chatas behemoth, you cannot bring it on a suffix. If you bring on a suffix, nobody can eat from it because maybe you didn't have to bring it, and therefore nobody can eat from it. It's like a chatas that the owners were forgiven. But you can't. But the din of a chatas behemoth is that a kohenim should eat from it. So you cannot bring a chatas behemoth on a suffix. An oil you can at least say if I'm not chayiv, it's a donation. An oil you can do as a donation. If you're a nazir tameh, you bring as a bird, a chatas, a bird, and you bring an oil, a bird, and then you bring an asham. Now an asham again, you cannot make this condition, but a chatas bird you could bring on the mizbeach on a suffix because the bird gets burnt entirely anyway. It makes no difference. You can't don't eat from it. So you could bring a chatas bird on a suffix. Once there's no shlomi by chatas, chatas, eila, and what do you call it? Shlomi, yeah. A shlomi you can bring for sure. Then you have the oila. The oila by a suffix you have to bring an oila as well. Now that oila, the bird oila, is a machlekes and showing whether you bring it as well. The Gemara just didn't bother mentioning it because those get totally burnt or not. Taisa before says that you do bring it. Taisa here says you don't bring it. Rashi says you don't bring it. So now the Gemara works through each. So what do you do? And as a mitzvah, the first time around you bring 2 pigeons, one you shecht, and with the blood you dip the live one into that. You mix the water and then you spray it and then you send it away. That's a tutziparim. And then as a full-fledged mitzvah, then you bring the kabbalah mitzvah, which is also a chat. So the Gemara says as follows. But we learned you take 4 haircuts. Taglach is a shayna. The first haircut you have 3 sveikas. Are you mitzvah? Are you nazir tamei? Are you nazir tay? So maybe it's a party. You bring the birds, as we'll soon see. There's no issue, even if you're not a mitzvah. It's taking place outside the base. Make sure nothing happened there. The chatas oif, but maybe perhaps you are a nazir tamei, so you bring a chatas oif. You're allowed to do that because you're allowed to bring a chatas oif on a suffix, and the Gemara doesn't mention about oil as oif. So either it doesn't have to be obvious, or together with chatas oif, or you're not going to bring it. And the oil behema, but maybe you're a nazir toyer, you're bringing oil behema, and you cannot bring a chatas behema because a chatas behema, if you're not a nazir toyer, your other issues you had no right to bring a chatas behema. You cannot bring it on a suffix, as we explained before, because the kohen has to eat from it. Then shnia, the second, and the Gemara explains one. Shnia, the second block is either you're a mitzvah, or you're a nazir toyer. It's only two sveikas. The second block is either you mitzvah stage 2, and you bring the kabbanas because you're finishing the mitzvah because you make sifrei, or you're not never a mitzvah. So the first block you're another tameh. What are you now? Another tameh. So these are 2 choices. So shni, you bring a chatas oif because maybe, shni, you bring a chatas oif. You bring what do you call it? You're bringing a chatas oif, but not as another tameh. You're bringing a chatas oif because maybe you're a mitzvah, and a mitzvah has to bring a chatas behema. But we know that if you're poor, you can bring a bird. So the way Rashi explains, we say you're poor. Miga, you can be mafker or you're nechasim and become poor. You're bringing oil oif. So bringing oil oif as a mitzvah, not as a tameh. Because if you're a tameh, that means you're not a mitzvah. Then the first block was tameh. Now is another toy. So where's the chatzah oif come in? And if you're a mitzvah, then now is a mitzvah shni. There's no chatzah oif by a mitzvah. So where's chatzah oif come in? Chatzah oif is a mitzvah that brings a chatzah behema. But if you're poor, it's an oil yed. If you're poor, you bring a chatzah oif, and that's what you bring here. And the oil is behema because maybe you're a proper nazir. And the revius, but the 4th block, there's no question. The 4th block, what are you? The third block, you bring an oil behema as well because maybe you're a mitzvah but not tameh. So the 3rd block, you're just a nazir toyer, bring an oil behema. And the 3rd block, you're being chatzas oif as well because maybe you're tameh. And the revius, the 4th block, the only possibility is that you are a nazir, so a proper, so you bring a carbon tara. The rest of the kabbalas you didn't bring before. Let's explain it. The first haircut, maybe Shapik and mice is good because let's go through all the possibilities. The vadai mitzvah, if he's definitely mitzvah, the lav tamayu, and he's not tamei at all he has to bring it to Biden. Chavas says bringing the pigeons. The chatas oif oif. So why does he bring a chatas oif? Maybe he's not tamei at all. Also the kvura. What do you do with the chatas oif? You bury the whole thing, you burn the whole thing, nobody eats from it, and therefore it's no problem. Bring it as suffix. The chatas oif, which is a suffix, because you're bringing a chatas oif the first round as well, because you're a suffix tamei. right? Also the Kuda. It goes to Kuda, so it's not an issue. You're allowed to bring a Chatas Oif as a suffix because since the entire thing gets burned, the Kohen don't need it anyway. So therefore, the Chatas Behema you cannot bring on a suffix because the Kohen have to eat it, but they can't eat it because maybe it wasn't. You shouldn't have brought the Chatas. So therefore, nobody can eat from it. That's what Chatas is. But a Chatas Oif nobody eats from anyway. No big deal. Also the Kuda anyway. But the ashes. The whole thing gets buried. No, there's no. No, it goes in the Mizbeach. It means it's an expression. Nobody eats from it. Other it means that nobody benefits from it. It's gone.
I thought it was the base of the ashes.
No. That's actually afterwards. So, the whole thing is gone. Yeah. The oila having it other, and he brought an oila's behema. Well, if I'm not a nazir, I'm a mitzvah. I bring it. I make a try. I bring it as a donation. Now. So let's say he's a mitzvah. 7 days later, he can't take a haircut. Why? Because maybe he's not a mitzvah, and maybe he's a nazir, and a nazir got to wait 30 days. Maybe he's not a mitzvah. Then if you're not a mitzvah, then you have no right to take a haircut prior to the 30 days. The elav mitzvah let's say he's only a suffix mitzvah. We're going through all the possibilities. Let's say he's only a suffix mitzvah, and he's bringing these pigeons, but he's a suffix mitzvah. Well, chatas or oif chavasai. If it's not so then maybe, in other words, maybe he's not a mitzvah at all, and vutame. Maybe really he's a tamadik nazir. Maybe he's not a mitzvah, so that's no problem. That chatas or oif he brought is no longer a suffix. Then he did the right thing. Chatas or oif chavasai. Then that is his obligation. Either two pigeons he brings, if he's not a mitzvah, does he have a right to bring it? But he put in avraika misavdim. They're all taking place outside the base of Mikdash. It's not a question of chulin bringing ordinary animals into the base of Mikdash, because where do you go through the process of the pigeons outside the base of Mikdash? We'll have a chulin mazara. No issue there. But oilus behema. If he's a tamei nazir, you don't bring an oilus behema. A tamei nazir, when he goes out, he brings a bird, an oila, and he brings a shlam. That's it. Oilus behema having a double. He's done any of that. What happens? We're still going through the first round. The last possibility is he never was a mitzvah. He never was tamei. All he is a turn. Then again, no problem. Supporting the pigeon, they're outside. The chatzah, he doesn't really have to bring it. He brought it only because he was in doubt. Likwuda goes to be buried anyway. It doesn't matter. And the behemoth that he brought, the behemoth, that's talking what he had to bring. These are the conditions. No. So the bringing on the berg something that you shouldn't, or bring your chulin bazar is a schita. It's a schita itself. Says the Gemara, a proper nazir needs an asham as well. So actually we're talking about a mitzvah. A mitzvah has to bring an asham. You're saying if he's a mitzvah, we got all the bases covered. No, you don't, because if he's a mitzvah, you got to bring an asham. Where's your asham? So you must say he does. And Rab Shimoni, this follows the view of Rab Shimoni, who says that you can bring an asham and make a condition that if it's not an asham, it'll be a shlamim. And no one else holds that, but Rab Shimoni holds that, and that's what the Brisa follows. So you can cover all of his bases. Lama Maisi, master, you can bring your asham and have in mind that it should be a shlamim if it doesn't work out. No shlamim double. Yeah. Okay, now let's go through stage 2 and stage 3. How do you cover all the bases? He doesn't have to do pigeons because he already did it the first time. It's impossible to become, be a mitzvah 2 and 3. The mitzvah is number 1, and number 2 is when you're counting down because you've already been cured and you got to count another 7 days and go to the mikveh again and take another haircut. But that's it. So only the first stage of tzaras you bring the 2 pigeons. The second stage of tzaras, when you complete your whole thing before you can go back and eat kachim, you have other kabbalas to bring, like we just said, the asham and the chatz and then the chatz if you can't afford it. So the Friday is not a problem to others. You did already. Ma'ika. So what are the possibilities? Dilma Vadai Mukhatu. What is it? Maybe he was a Mukhad before. Maybe, in other words, maybe he was a Messiah the first block, and this therefore the second block is the Vadai, is the end of the winding down of his Saras. Okay, so he took care of that. Chadar the suffix sifra, the chadar suffix tamasa. See, the animal that he brings is either one of the possibilities. Either he's a suffix that he's winding down at Saras, right? And the suffix of his tumor. The third one is something. The third one is a suffix tumor. These are the possibilities. The second one you're winding on Saras, and the third one is you're not a Nazir Torah, but you're Nazir Tameh. So the kabbanas that we talked about, number 2, stage 2, and stage 3, cover these possibilities. Taglachas and V is, but the fourth possible block is only one possibility. That you're another Torah. Maybe karmatara or master. You make a karmatara, you make the following tonight. And the following tonight is the Ivad and Nazir. If I was already Nazir in the beginning and nothing else, the first block, then Oila, I already brought my Oila 3 months ago when I finished my first block. And the rest of the Kabbalah, and this Oila that I'm bringing again now, the end of the fourth block, is a donation. The Im Tame Umukhudhu, and if I was Take before the first 3 blocks, I was a Matsera, and then I was a Tame. So then this block is the right one. Then Oila Hadishani in the Dava. The first Oila I brought was in the Dava. Bezu Chayva. This is my Chayv. And the rest of the kabbalah I bring right now, and it's not a problem. I'm bringing the rest of the kabbalah later than the first one, even though Rabbi Shua said before we bring it separately because we all said so what. You're allowed to, as long as remember we allowed to take a haircut and everything else after the first carbon you brought. Sorry, what did you say?
No, it's like a
chess game.
tax loophole, found.
Now the Gemara continues. Tameh, selfish, umuchlet bade. We're just going now again. We're going through all the possibilities. If you're not sure if you were Tamadik and Nazir, but we know for a fact you're a Mitzayda. What do we limit worry about a Mitzayda? That he takes a haircut even middle of the Naziris. No, but when do you say don't take a haircut? When do we say that all that if you became Tamei Mace? But if you're a Mitzayda, the thing is you have to take a haircut. So Tamei, think of your Safik Tamei, umuchlet vadeb, you were definitely a Mitzayda. Then Eichel bekachim. That means that somehow or another he became a Mitzayra and they started winding down on the first day. In the morning he was becoming Mitzayra, in the afternoon already they saw that it's definitely diminishing in size. So he now is down Yemei Sifra. So he takes a haircut straight away the first day, and then you count 7 days, and the 8th day you bring your carbon. That's when you start eating kabbalas again. So but the Vishaisi Yain tell amazing, you gotta wait till you finish your Naziris. But you're at Suffolk Tameh. So you have 8 days, into your Naziris, then you start your Tameh. But your Tameh you have to wait 30 days because maybe you're not a Tameh, and then you gotta wait another 30 days because maybe you were Tameh. So it's 67 days before you finish your Naziris from the first day you started. What about the other way around? Muchlet Suffolk. What happens if he was a Suffolk Mitzayra? The Suffolk Mitzayra, but Tamei body, definitely Tamei. So when can he eat kachim? He cannot take a haircut after 7 days because maybe you're not a Mitzayra at all, maybe you're a Nazir. But you definitely Nazir Tamei. So therefore you have 7 days if to finish your Tumah, and then you have 30 days of Naziris, but maybe you're a Mitzayra. So therefore as follows is you have to wait 30 days before you can take your haircut because you're something of your mitzvah, but you're definitely tummy. So even though you got out of your tumah 7 days, but maybe you're a full-fledged nazir. Maybe you're what do you call it? Not a mitzvah at all. So you cannot take a haircut for 30 days, for 37 days. And but then you got to wait another 30 days because maybe you were a mitzvah, and therefore you have to start the Naziris 30 days later. What about Tamei Vade and Muchel Vade? You were definitely Tamei. You were your mitzvah, and you were a Nazir Tamei. Then you can eat kachim after 8 days because you definitely take a haircut right away the first day and then take another haircut 7 days later. There's no question. But and then you got to wait 44 days because after the 7 days of Tarash, you wait another 7 days for your tumah. You have to get out of that, and then you do 30 days, which works out to 44 days. So Charlotte Tamid must a question on Nazir Tahai. If you're Nazir Tahir Mitzvah, forget the Tamid, you're Nazir Tahir Mitzvah. Now the second Taras, remember, okay, so you Mitzvah after this, whatever you remove all your hair, then you wait another 7 days, you move your hair again. Can that removal of the hair the second time, can that work for your Nazir as well as your Mitzvah at the same time? Let's say your Mitzvah came towards the end of your Naziris, and then you have to take a haircut in 7 days. You remember you paused. Can that haircut that you took at the end of the Tzaras also work for your Naziris? They don't take another haircut because it's the same. They both elapse at the same time. Nazir told him, "Say the Mao, she take Mao, she achas. Can you just take one haircut? Can you take one haircut? You work for both. Be effective for both."
That's going to have to wait at least 30 days for it to grow back.
That's right. Yeah. He says no. You cannot use one haircut for both. Why not? Why can't you use one haircut for both? Either the first or the second one. And he said to them, because the purpose, the intent of the haircut is very different. He said, we're talking now about the first ras. They're both, the purpose was to cut the hair. And the idea is the hair to grow back. Or the purpose was just to remove your hair. Then you have to, it's the same purpose, same intent, and why not? The purpose of a Nazir is to get rid of all your hair. Especially that story, that kid there, you look so beautiful, you want to get rid of all the Nazir, and 3 days, get rid of all your hair. Or the first taras that you have, and we shave your hair so that you can give you 7 days to grow back to a certain point, where the tip of the hair can fold back to the root, so that we can cut it properly again. So by taras, the first haircut is in order to regrow. So exactly the opposite purpose of by Nazir. Yeah, okay. So therefore, how can you have one haircut that work for both? They're totally different from each other. Okay. I understand what you're saying when it comes to mechaluta. The first taras is over. The purpose is to hit to grow back. But the second haircut taras, which is it's over. That purpose is exactly the same purpose as another. It's over. So let it work. I said to them, if they both take place at the same time. If the Mitzvah haircut is before. By Mitzvah it says on the 7th day you take a haircut, then you go to the mikveh, and then in the 8th day you bring your kabbanis. That means that by a Mitzvah he takes his haircut before he brings his kabbanis. But by a Nazir, first you shech the carbon, then you take the haircut, and then you take the hair of the carbon, and then you shave your hair, and then you take the hair and you put it under the pot of the shlamim. So there the haircut is taken after the start of the kabbanis. Very different. He says, by Mitzvah, you take you shave before. The Nazir by Nazir takes place after the sprinkling the blood. Okay, so you're fine. The Nazir say, okay, it doesn't work for the Tzaras and Nazira, but the Tal makes it in a case where you're a Tamei Nazir and by a Tamei Nazir as well, they both take place before you bring the kabbanis. So then over there, the one haircut should work for both. When do you go to the mikveh? Both, then you go to the mikveh at the same time. Then you are right. However, when does the Nazir go? He first goes to the mikveh. It says he takes a haircut b'yom taharos. It sounds like he already was matayir himself, and then he by a person was tamei, and then only afterwards does he take his haircut. After he sprinkled, he goes to the mikveh and then takes his haircut, right? Mashenkin Abatsayda is leaf nebisamayim. It says on the 7th day he shaves all of his hair, and then he goes to the mikveh. Not at the same time. Yafa Marta. So good that you said okay, it's good what you said that does not go up to Meisifim Zerasa. Let it go up to Mechalutai and to Masai, which we already mentioned before. So he said Zeligadu, both of them are what? After Tumah, why do you take a haircut? So you can have started 30 days of growing your hair again. And why do you take a haircut after you made not the Mechalut to the first Mitzvah, so you can grow back again? Same theme. He said to them, Nazir Toy. If he's a Nazir Toy and a Mitzvah, you want the same haircut? No, Zeligad will have. I explained to you before. Two purposes. The Im Nazir Tummy, you're asking about another Tummy. The difference is that we told you before. Zelif they be a Samayim, but Zelacha be a Samayim. He said it's very different. By a Nazir, when do you take your haircut? After you went to the mikveh. By Mitzvah, when you take your haircut before you go to the mikveh. You want to just continue the same thing. Tanam Chid is the exact same thing. That Zelif they be a Samayim. That over here is before you go to the mikveh by a Mitzvah, but Zelacha. By a Nazir, that's Tamei after he goes to the mikveh. Zel lifnei zikas damim, and the other side of Mitzvah, this is before you sprinkle the blood. Zel achas zikas damim. By a Nazir, you take the haircut after you sprinkle the blood. By Mitzvah, it's the 7th day you take the haircut, and the 8th day you bring your kabbanis. Hani arba tagvachos. These 4 haircuts that we take, the karma. These 4 haircuts that we take. Is it mishum mitzvah? Is it because it's a mitzvah? Actually, we'll stop over here because we'll probably finish Mizrach here. We'll stop here and we'll continue Mitzvah Shabbos at 8:45.